Hi there, everyone. This is Matt with the Grappling Podcast. And in this week's episode, Levi and I discuss some ideas on transitioning from a gi-heavy game into having a game that's a little bit more no-gi heavy. Now, this episode can apply to you if you're someone looking to have a game in the gi and in no-gi, or if you're strictly transitioning into a no-gi style game. This is also very helpful as well. So if you enjoy this episode, please end up sharing it with a friend. That always helps the podcast. And without further ado, here are some thoughts on building a no-gi game. All right. I first have to start with a confession.
I have a confession too.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do yours first, or should I do mine?
Is it against me?
No.
Oh, mine's against you.
Oh, okay. Mine was that we told everybody we were going to do video a while ago, and we never actually did it.
February.
We tried it once, but then Levi and I kind of decided we like audio, and we don't want to make video right now. Not that we're like against video. It's just the ask becomes dramatically more complicated.
Well, then we have to switch between each other. Otherwise, it's just everyone seeing our faces for the whole time.
Yeah, and making it dynamic.
Boring. Yeah,
maybe someday.
Dynamic's a good word.
But Levi and I like to do this almost as like a journal of our thoughts, a place to showcase different cool ideas, share our friends, like what they're doing and cool things that they're doing for the grappling space.
Yep.
A place for people to record their own journeys.
Not to see our faces.
Yeah, and but doing something theatrical is just not where we're at right now. So I just want to tell everyone, if you're listening and going, when are these guys going to do video? The answer is maybe if we make some fun videos, we should start remaking 80s videos.
We say 80s videos?
Yeah, it'd be kind of funny.
Like music videos?
What if we did it like with like a grappling? Trying to think about this now. Do blood sport, but everybody grapples.
Yeah, that's true.
We have to be dressed like that.
So someone should make blood sport.
We got to up our pec game though if we're going to be that.
Make it modern. Nah,
that one guy
killed it right there. Oh, pec game?
Yeah, that one dude.
What's his name?
Yeah, big dude. He's just like all pecs.
It's crazy how big he is, like, and ripped he is.
You talking about the big guy, the bad guy? It's
like
Bo Long or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
His he's all pecs though. He's missing back if you look.
All he needs is a dim mock.
Oh yeah, break the brick. Yeah. God, that movie's.
Isn't that cool though? I mean, some things like that, like martial arts movies, like inspire other things in life. Like it doesn't have to be practical, but it's like, how does everyone know that kind of stuff? Like it's some sort of mysticism with it a little bit. I think everybody wants to be involved with the mysticism.
Yeah, magic's fun.
With martial arts. But I haven't seen Escape to New York or Escape from New York.
No.
What's it called? One with Russell Crowe. No, it's not now. Kurt Russell.
Yeah, that's not Escape from New York.
No. What's the one with
Big Trouble in Little China?
Big Trouble in Little China.
I haven't seen that one yet either.
That's the one.
I fell asleep. My buddy and I were going to watch it, and I fell asleep.
I have not saw it. Envy.
Was that your confession?
I wish that was something to the audience, but this is just till Matt.
No, I think we were recording.
No,
I told Levi he has to watch MV because something he said was very in line with that movie, and it's a funny movie. Honestly, check it out.
I will check.
It's Jack Black. It's got Ben Stiller. I think Christopher Walken's even in it too.
There's no like jiu-jitsu themed movie besides the Nicolas Cage one.
No. Remember
Red Belt?
No. Okay, everyone, this was the episode that never aired, but we looked at fight scenes and videos with grappling. There was that one that had Donnie Yen in it, and that was a fight
scene with jiu-jitsu. I'm saying a movie about jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
I got a thing in the mail that was like a novel. It was like a brochure or something for a novel. It was like an Amazon thing I got. It was like some romance and jiu-jitsu, like almost like a murder mystery, but the book was about like jiu-jitsu. It was like a fiction book about jiu-jitsu, but they threw in murder and romance into it.
I think it's hard to write a jiu-jitsu fight scene.
I think it was called Breakfall.
I think Breakfall. It would only work if you're writing to a jiu-jitsu audience.
Go.
Because like if you're writing a fight scene, like Brandon Sanderson writes great fight scenes.
I was reading his book last night too.
Really? Which one?
The Way of Kings.
Good. At least you're doing one of the things I told you to read or listen to.
I should say it's a little slow, but it's like they bounce between characters.
You have to wait for the Brandalanche.
The what?
The Brandalanche. The Sanderson Avalanche. The Brandalanche.
What's the Brandalanche?
It's essentially the climax of the story. Like everything will just come together and just crash. It's really cool.
I didn't know there was Brandalanche.
Yeah, it's a joke in the Brandon sphere.
I don't mind like building up, but I think it's like the first 30 minutes of the movie where I'm just like, getting into the characters.
This
I'm like
also
about 200 pages in right now.
This is also a huge series, so like that framework is only going to make up like a 30-second of the whole.
How many books is that?
There's like 5 or 6 in the series, but they all are great on their own. There's some smaller books and bigger books.
I've been like really dedicated to try to read every single night before sleeping.
It's good before
it's
before you fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you're at least doing that. But writing fight scenes though for grappling.
Yeah.
Come back to that thought. So Brandon Sanderson, he's very like punchy. It's like action reaction kind of thing. Like they stabbed, they caught this thing, they moved, they turned. Like it's all like basic one movement. If you're writing a grappling thing, it's really hard because unless they were like, oh, he grabbed double unders, or something like that, and then he hip tossed him to the ground, or I don't know.
I remember that was like the first opening scene of the book. It was like someone trying to steal a
yeah
weapon or something like that, and he was. But I remember.
Well, you didn't even remember what happened?
I remember he's sometimes a little foggy with that stuff. I get the energy and the feel, like something about the king being in the armor, like he was the protector. Actually, like the king was. They thought
bait and switch.
Yeah.
Well, anyone listening? Spoiler alert. It's in the first few minutes of the book.
How many books does he have?
Oh, the dude writes like 1 or 2 a year. He's probably got like 30 books. I'm actually listening to
the one that finished Wheel of Time.
I think so. Yeah. I never did that one, but I did Elantris.
I hear people who just love Wheel of Time, and I'm like,
Elantris was his first like popular book.
Okay.
That one that I know of. That one was pretty good. Mistborn was good.
Heard Mistborn, yeah.
I'm actually finally listening to book 2 of Mistborn, and it's really good. But yeah, there's he's got so many books, and he even wrote a bunch during COVID.
Yeah,
because he didn't have to travel, and then he had like a Brandon box you could buy, and he like had those books self-published and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyways, Bridge 4. You'll learn, buddy. You'll learn.
Oh, I got to Bridge 4.
You got to Bridge 4?
I got to Bridge 4.
Bridge 4.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was having a hard time visualizing what the bridges were.
They're huge planks, essentially. Like think about like handles, big flat bridges. So you can set them on a chasm, and you could cross with horses over it.
So they had, and then
they take like 40 people to carry.
They were getting shot at.
Yes, because they're obviously the transport between like think of it like Grand Canyon kind of things, where there's a bunch of like gaps and things like that.
Sure.
And they are doing that so they can cross a military over these different chasms.
But when they were getting shot at, it was like
the enemy.
To help people cross over. So they're shooting them.
They're shooting them before they can put the bridge down. Because if you don't have a bridge, you can't get over the.
Gotcha.
Can't get over the
okay,
barriers.
I can visualize that now.
Yeah, I got you. Just let me know anything you need to know about Brandon Sanderson.
That. There's a couple different scenes.
Oh, there's some really good ones coming up, Levi.
Nice. I'm excited. That motivates me.
Okay, so today's topic: how to develop a grappling game without a gi on.
Oh my gosh!
And I thought
impossible.
There was a disclaimer I thought about with this.
Oh no!
And it's a positivity. It's a positive one, so it's not like we're trying to protect ourselves. But if you want to be the best grappler, you can, or like gi grappler, you can be. Some of these things may not apply to you. They may, but if you're just strictly focused on being the best gi grappler,
you can be.
You should probably not leave any weapons on the table, right?
I was thinking about the Pokemon theme song. When you
want to be the very best. Like no one ever was.
I don't know why my brain was going there. And then I had to say it too.
To choke them is my real test.
Yeah, see, we can keep going with that. I feel like ChatGPT could give us a good jiu-jitsu theme song.
To sweep them is my cause.
There you go.
I will travel across the land. Oh, I should have used sweeping here. Sweeping far and wide. That would have worked. To teach everyone to understand. I'm going to choke. I don't know, something inside. I don't know. I'm going to grab it inside. I'm talking about grabbing inside the gi because you're not supposed to do that on the wrist. I don't know.
Choke them all?
Yeah. That'd be funny. But yeah, if you want to be the best gi player you can be, this episode's going to have some details that probably don't apply to you. If you want to be the best well-rounded grappler, this will definitely help.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're like really looking to improve like your gi game and really start doing this more, NoGi game, the stuff will really help.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to put that out there just before people start going, why would I not use the gi if I'm in the gi and I want to like I was trying to get ahead of that idea.
I wanted to do an April Fool's video where it was like how to escape all these, like Spider Guard and Devil Hiva guards and wear a gi. And then the first few seconds, it's just me stripping it off.
Take the gi off.
As I'm getting attacked.
So what I do is I undo the belt.
I slip my sleeve out.
I turn away and I run, when they got my sleeves.
bam, out of the gi.
What you do is, what if you just have little seams that are super weak on the shoulders, you pull the sleeves off.
Breakaways.
Breakaway sleeves, Velcro held. That'd be actually pretty funny.
Velcro held. That's funny.
But yeah, so that was kind of something to think about, and I have a lot of thoughts to consider, but I don't want to just like rattle them off and blow through a bunch of content. So I thought, Levi, this is a topic you wanted to cover. So what are your initial thoughts on this?
I think a lot of people translating over to NoGi. Well, first of all, if you're doing NoGi, or let's say you predominantly did the gi for a while, and you want to train more NoGi, then you'll really pick up on these tips. I think some people who train maybe once every week or every other week or randomly, you probably won't find these details too much because it might just be a spare night you went to train in and you didn't have the gi on and you just kind of did jiu-jitsu. But I've actually encountered a fair amount of people the last couple of years who've been wanting to do a lot more no-gi training, and that means kind of changing your tactics long-term as far as your grappling strategies are concerned. And it's kind of weird because I think a lot of people, when they are training just jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I think they don't really understand how many of their strategies and tactics and techniques actually go away when you don't have the gi.
Yeah, we both experienced that firsthand.
Well, because if you're in side control in the gi, you're still underhooking, you're still cross-facing, like you're still holding on to people, like you're still connecting your body to their body. So I think people still see it as fine. But it's surprising once you strip the gi away, once you start going on offense and trying to do things, how much things have to change. Even just the terrain. Like now both people don't have a gi on. That means people are slicker. They're moving around a lot quicker. John had a friend in last night.
Nice.
It's like the same age. They're like twins too, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
But he trains at another gym.
Oh, cool.
And I was rolling with him a bit, and he's like, Levi, I'm not used to rolling with people, or like he pointed me to someone, but I'll just say people that like moves as much. Like I'm like kind of like, I should say bouncing back and forth.
Which is
I'm like
funny
up on my
because
hands,
you're like your
more
style
mobile.
is more lethargic too.
Yeah, well, I was like on top,
in a good way.
Some guard passing stuff too, like kind of just playing around and moving. He says, I'm so used to people being very tight in positions, like they go from one spot to the next like half guard.
It's a good observation on his part.
It was pretty good. I mean, for his age to be able to see that kind of stuff too.
Nice.
But
awesome.
I was just saying, as far as like, it just, you don't really realize certain things until you've done them consistently. So with gi and no-gi, like you take off the gis for both people. First of all, you're way more mobile. Like like you said this before, like you don't have so much in the way between you two.
Yeah.
You don't have like your gi kind of covering your face or coming undone or belts or whatever. There's a lot less material between the both of you that you're not getting in the way or getting congested. So it allows more or less friction.
Mm-hmm.
Now someone's sweatier or whatever, it's like, if you don't have the best connection and control with them, it's going to be difficult to hold people. More difficult.
John's friend has a really good point, because I'm thinking about like Hadra Gracie versus Buchecha. You know what? It has a very like round cadence to it, where you go, okay, they're going, and then they get moved back to the middle of the match, and they both stand up slowly adjusting their gi, tying their belt again.
Yeah.
And then, like a good 20 seconds later, they finally like slap bump, maybe 10, but you know what I mean? Like there's like a significant amount of time there.
Yeah.
Versus in no-gi matches, they're like, get up, come over here, sit down, go. Like it's just like this continuation of movement versus, just chunking everything, moving here, getting grip, moving there.
I also think that
it's like base camps.
When you look, I think that's the idea. I think traditional jiu-jitsu sees things as base camps. Versus, I think, as you get more into the grappling, I like watch like ADCC or any open finals, like West Coast Trials. You're not seeing camps.
No, it's go.
It's like scrambling, angles, movement. You might have every once in a while where you have a camp spot of like side control or mount
for a second
or back
or two.
Control, but there's a lot of like up and moving, so it becomes a lot more.
It is hard to staple people to the ground.
So it's different. So I think that's where I'm kind of getting with, where it's like when there's even two people without the gi on, just by controlling and maintaining someone, they're a lot more slick. It's a lot more mobile. You have a group of people that within 20 minutes, and depending on your room temperature is getting sweaty, and
plus you might just have some sweaty people.
Yeah, get some sweaty people
some
too.
People sweat a lot.
So I think if you don't do it consistently, you don't really realize how much consistently it will feel different than training with the gi. Somebody was mentioned that too. Like you could almost the opposite. They said you could go against a black belt person in NoGi, and because of the sense of scrambling, or if you're a bigger guy, you might feel like you have more of a chance and you can move around. Versus the opposite, if you had a black belt person in the gi, there's like too many vines and traps. Like
against someone who's bigger than you, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying like, let's say a black belt in the gi going against someone bigger than them and maybe not as experienced, but they have a gi on as well.
Oh.
You can kind of like entangle them.
Yeah, you hear the story of the 150-pound person beating the 250-pound person way more in the gi.
Yeah.
And that's not like throwing any shade on the gi. It's just because that option is there. Like collar chokes, I think are like they're the end all be all. They are the best choke probably.
Think about like a 150-pound guy like in Troy with like Achilles and is it Hector or whatever?
Yeah, those are the two guys that duke it out. They're like the same size.
No, the big guy
in the beginning where he just stabs them.
They both had swords. They both had weapons, or he had a spear. But like, I'm saying, like if two people, 150 pound, 250 pound, had swords, it doesn't mean that the person 250 pounds is going to win. Right?
No.
Right? It's like dexterity and movement.
I guess it depends on the weapons chosen.
I don't want to get into this, Matt. I felt it right now.
No, I feel it.
But like,
but it's true though, because like, it still cuts the same. If you're bigger, you're stronger, but you have more surface area. So you have more reach though, Like,
yeah. So with a gi though, you both technically could kill each other just with the gi. Like you can just reach and grab and choke their neck, no matter if you're
both showing up with swords.
Yeah. But without that, you don't have that extra resource. Now, if it's just two people facing off with just their fists, it's like
different game.
Not like 250 pounds, you're 150 pounds.
I think that's an apt analogy. It's like if we're going like Game of Thrones time frame on this, and you go, that's the best spear fighter around, and the dude's like 150 pounds, people would be like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
You can scale up.
He's the best spear fighter, And then like, I guess that kind of did happen. There was that spear fighting,
the Viper,
but
he got smashed.
Yep. Sorry, dude. Actually, he kind of breaks our idea. He was gloating. That was the problem. That's the problem.
Well, so like the weapons are a thing, but like if like Jordan talks about that all the time with wrestling, like you could be a really good wrestler, but you scale up with size, like that's gonna be a problem. So I think also a lot of people don't realize in NoGi that size can become a problem in NoGi for sure.
Way faster.
Way faster. That's a better way to put it. Way faster than the gi.
10 pounds actually, like 10 pounds, you can actually feel a difference. 20, you're like, whoa.
Yep. That becomes quicker problems.
It's hard. I notice I don't get as pinned as much though, like you were saying.
So that's a trade-off, I think.
Yeah. Some guys though who are big can still pin the bejeebers out of you.
Yeah. So because of that slipperiness, like you are able to find more space. Like I think you were saying before, like there's not like the gi and the belt in the way. You can get your knees in, get your elbows in, get your frames in a lot easier without that. So let's see if I can get back to this.
Yeah. While you're thinking, I can bring up a couple things.
Sure.
You covered off on a lot of points that I had here, so that's awesome. About how like wedging and hooking is a big thing. So if you're looking to transition from wedging and hooking,
I feel like it's gonna be a T-shirt.
Wedging and hooking,
wedging
bro.
And hooking.
Just hooking over at the, hooking. I'm trying to think horizontal hooking, but so some changes, some actions that you would want to make based off of some of the things that Levi and I were just talking about, where don't be so reliant on the gi grips. So that'd be probably one of the step one.
If you're transitioning,
if you're transitioning, start intentionally not grabbing sleeves, not grabbing pants, not grabbing the gi. Even though like I said, this is under the context that you just want to be a well-rounded grappler. You want to be able to take your gi off and still do pretty good. You're not looking to be the best gi grappler you can be. And if that's your goal, that's totally cool. But just that's not what we're talking about right now. So go for wrists, those types of things. When it comes to submissions, think about how you're setting them up and how you're grabbing limbs too. When you have the gi on, you can grab the sleeve. You can take a lot of slack out with it, and that's super cool. It's way harder when you're doing no gi. And that actually brings to a point here that I wanted to share that I think submissions are much harder to get in no-gi.
Bingo.
The legs are there. And so if we said leg locks were the same across gi and no-gi, say the rule set's the same, because like when someone doesn't know leg locks, you can kind of dive into them a little bit easier. But in general, getting an arm triangle, getting a regular triangle is hard people can slip and posture out. You don't have that thing to pull them down.
Yep.
It's harder to break their base and everything like that. So as a rule of thumb, just know that your submissions, if you don't get as many submissions, it's not because necessarily you got worse. It's just that they are legitimately harder to get. And at least that's my opinion.
I didn't even think about that as far as like just a connection. Like I was thinking as far as like, well, you have less tools right now. What would you utilize? And it's like, well, no, if you get triangle someone with the gi or NoGi, like the gi, you have a lot more content inside that triangle. Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss the gi now.
I was actually thinking as I was writing this too, I was like, we should put our gi on just to
I'm
like,
not going to do it.
just for funsies for like a day.
I'm saying how much it would
You won't
help.
put your gi on for one day, Levi?
No, I refuse.
For us to roll together?
Maybe for you.
We'll just, maybe I'll set up a private lesson and I'll be like, I want to do geese.
Guess I'd have to honor it.
Yeah.
But yeah, how much more offensive tools you have. Less slipperiness and things like that.
Here's another heuristic for you on that.
What's that?
So here's the story. Someone's just tapping someone, tap, 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 right? Like they tap someone 6 or 7 times within a round.
Tap dancer right there.
Yeah, that's what they're tap dancing around on this person. In the gi, that's pretty like, oh, that person was just being a jerk, I guess, but they also really got some taps in. In NoGi, if you reset every single time, getting another, like you're not going to tap someone that quickly again and again and again and again. Point. Even if you're like trying to work for it.
So are you saying that submissions are more far between?
I think so because think about just get a choke. Let's just start with a choke. So in the lapel, you can scoot in a close guard, you can get on top. So anywhere you are, you can almost get a lapel choke, right? Like actually, yeah, anywhere you are, you can get a lapel choke except for on the legs.
Mm-hmm.
So in NoGi, though, you actually have to like get all the way to someone's back. You have to peel away their arms. You have to do all those types of things. And getting an arm under someone's neck is radically harder than just grabbing the lapel and doing a wicked bow and arrow choke, you know? So I think it's just a lot more real estate you just have to cover, and you just got to accept that fact that sometimes you're not going to get as many, taps and what.
Mm-hmm. I think that leads into really relying on good mechanics too. So when you say that things are fewer far between, I think that almost puts a higher training point in having good submission mechanics. Like you did all that work to get to that point. Do you know I revisited the other day Rob Bernanke's belt requirements? I was just listening to some of his blue belt stuff. And I was talking with somebody else too that's part of Rob Bernanke's crew that was stressing the importance from white to blue belts of them being able to get a rear naked choke.
So white to blue was getting an RNC.
Yeah,
that's fair because it's one of the highest percentage submissions.
You should be able to get a rear naked choke. Like
I got to get back my blue belt.
Well, I thought it was fascinating as far as like how specific that was. Like to say the ability to get a rear naked choke because it's the big equivalent of a huge checkmate when it comes to jiu-jitsu. Like take someone's back, control their back, and be able to isolate their neck. Like it's the king move for a reason. It's like every competition. It's like. Yeah, it's always the highest used, the highest percentage.
If you built your whole game off of that, it wouldn't be a game wasted.
That's what Eddie Bravo said. He's like, you could go against a guy who all he did was focus on back escapes and submission offense, or like back offense and back defense, and he would be roughly okay.
I've been thinking about this. I think weird. This is my next phase. Is after you and I trained earlier in the week is going to be back.
I wonder if we did.
That's my next focus. Getting my rear naked chokes.
I wonder if we did another podcast episode where we're like build. I think we talked about that maybe, or
building
we
a
did
game
already.
Yeah.
No, but like the
high percentage things. We did that episode 11, I think.
Good memory of that.
Oh, hey, don't say that yet. I might be wrong.
But yeah, that makes sense. But back stuff. Could you say something legs? You can though.
Yeah, because outside and inside heel hooks are the other two. The big three was outside heel hook, inside heel hook, and rear naked choke.
I didn't want to pay for the instructional because it was like $169, but I was looking at some clips online.
You thief.
There's this guy. I didn't take anything. I just say I didn't want to pay for it, but it was very tempting. This guy has this move called the Junny lock, Junny.
I feel like we've talked about this.
No, we haven't.
No?
I don't ever recall. Maybe you've told me about this, but
I didn't.
Never took it to
I
my
feel like
soul.
I've heard these words out of your
this
mouth.
This guy who does heel hooks without any leg entanglement. It's almost like people are doing leg locks to him, and then he counter leg locks, but it's like there's no real entanglement happening. Like
so there's no control?
Yeah, Junny Kozia or something. It was really fascinating.
I wonder if you could just Google
I say
Juni
that
lock.
because he has his course on that lock on Submeta, so on Lachlan's website. He has like a full course on it. And I was like, ooh, Lachlan's putting up to put that on there. So I found that interesting. But basically, if you spend a whole match just doing leg offense and entanglement offense and defense and things like that, like, I just don't think it's as good. You'd have to have like guard retention as well to not let people pass your guard.
Oh, yeah, you'd have to have other stuff. I'm just saying, like, you've only got 3 spells.
Yeah.
Inside heel hook, outside heel hook, rear naked choke. Maybe actually, that would be what if I announce an experiment where I'm like, over the next year, I am strictly going to focus on those 3 submissions.
Are you, though?
No. But what if I did, though? Hold on, let's play this through a little bit. This is live, folks. What if I did?
Yeah.
Well, I'd get really good at those 3 high percentage submissions.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to do other submissions. It's just those are like my 3 major focuses.
Yeah.
That could be kind of cool because then you've got a great back game. It's pretty safe for you because you'll be really knowledgeable in what to do and what not to do in those positions.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Maybe I'm gonna play around with this idea. I might actually try that.
The great experiment.
Seriously, what if like that? Maybe that's my part of my road to to purple belt. Is be like, if I got really good at back takes, I would put other things in there too. Like I'd have to be proficient at takedowns and things like that. Because I do like doing takedowns and passing guard. Like there's all the other aspects of the game, but from a submission standpoint, I already know how to arm triangle, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of one of my go-tos. Mm-hmm. So why not just start picking these other high value things?
Would be good with that because arm triangles, you could expose the back with that too.
Yeah, so they do loop together.
Yeah. Now, actually, I was thinking about that with NoGi because I think when people are thinking about the NoGi game in general, I think if you break down NoGi into sections, like opening game, middle game, and end game. Matt was already talking about the end game being a little bit difficult because there's no gi involved, there's no lapel chokes, less material. I'm going to bring it back to an opening game to say, like, you're starting a jiu-jitsu match and you both are, in multicolored rash guards.
Okay.
Neon colors or whatever silliness that rash guards are these days. First of all, if you're standing, sorry, but there's no judo immediately for you. I mean, you can. There are some.
It's kind of a shame. Judo's sweet.
There are some judo, judo. I can't remember his name. It's killing me right now. But there are some good judo players. But anyways, there's no gi or jacket to utilize in judo throws. If you are standing with somebody, now you have to incorporate wrestling. That's all there is to it at that point. There are some people that clinch up on top and do foot sweeps, but it's a different game. You don't have the jacket. All I saw the last grappling industries was people grabbing jackets and sleeves and trying to yank people down.
Snapdowns are hard.
That was 80% of the moves I saw. Every once in a while, people would connect and get like a Uchimata style toss or whatever, but rarely did I see people hitting strong single legs or double legs. Besides Jordan. So, but I'm saying you have to become a competent wrestler if you're going to play NoGi standing. And then opening game, if you're playing seated, sorry, guard pulling is basically non-existent now for you.
You can still touch their hand and just sit down.
So the idea when you guard pull, like to get to a collar and sleeve guard or, spider guard or whatever, is the fact that you're making contact with their jacket and pulling their upper body down and connecting that now with your legs and such. Like their whole upper body is broken, posture-wise, down on top of you. Yes. So it's like, but you can't do that. That's impossible with NoGi. You can't get a collar tying someone or sleeves down and bend them so deep that it'll stay there. It's not going to work. So I think if you want to play a NoGi game for the guard, everything has to become inside guards at that point. At least starting. You'd have to go for butterfly guards and X guards, inside spaces. You can't pull close guard unless you plan on jumping into a close guard situation right away.
Yeah, close guard tends to happen more in the middle of the fray.
Yeah, like you're recovering a guard retention situation. You want to get close guard and
they're trying to body lock past you and they get their hips too high.
Yeah, so usually close guard is almost like, you're about passing my guard, and close guard comes into play. But opening wise, it's either butterfly guards, X guards. Those are the main ones. And at that point, too, you have to ask yourself where you're going when you're hitting that. You're in a sweep to guard passing, you're going for leg locks, going for back attacks. So it changes in that fray.
So, okay, we jumped around a little bit. A lot of different notes, but let's concisely put it into some actions for people. So the first one we already talked about when it comes to grips, right? I already said that earlier. Make sure to start practicing grabbing wrists and grabbing collar ties, scooping up arms, legs, underhooks, wedges, things like that. Try to just not use the gi as much. That's be step one if you're looking to up your gi game or no gi game while, kind of transitioning or trying to just expand your total game to include gi and no gi. Also, we had a couple other points here that, remember, things are a little more slippery. So when you are going for some submissions, some stuff that might have worked very well in the gi might not work well no gi, or not without putting a little bit of work into it. Yeah. Just because people might posture out, they might slip, they might be able to just wiggle out of things and sneak out. You have less friction with the gi, so you don't have canvas material on canvas material. So you're not really like having that Velcro-like scenario happening. And so that's something you'll also have to take into account. Make sure you're really controlling posture. And that's another. The other thing, obviously, like Levi said, you got to have a good standing opening game because the game also has a lot less base camps. It's a lot more like go, 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 go. It's one continuous process from start to finish to be able to get to where you want to get, just because people are so slippery. They can get out of things so much easier, and you're really going to need to just focus on controlling people for only long enough to be able to move to the next position. You're not going to get a lot of big pins. Sometimes you can in a couple spots, or if the size is massive between you guys, or skill is massive skill gap is massive. Something that actually one of the Ben who visits here sometimes. Hey Ben, if you're listening to this, not the Ben who's here all the time, other Ben. He was talking about how it feels like no-gi is a little more like aerobic in that because it requires so much movement. People tend to actually get like very tired and their lungs are burning, their whole body is tired because they're moving so much. Versus the gi feels a lot more like you're doing so much isometric contraction and pulling that it's more like your muscles are just cooked because you're doing like the whole trash compactor thing and you're just trying to inch your way into having more and more control. Yeah. So that's something you'll have to get used to. I've noticed that, funny, my grip has probably gotten worse since I stopped doing the gi just because it requires you to be able to have a good grip. No-gi, having a good grip is awesome, like if you can, but it's actually a little bit more like we've talked about in the past, grip and go. Let's see. Those are kind of, here's one other thing too. Don't rely on like tricky gi movements if you're looking to transition. Because the gi has a lot more traps, right? We were talking about that. Where you can beat a larger opponent sometimes because you both have the sword, right? Yeah. But also, people who are very skilled at the gi, they have a lot of traps. They know how to like set the noose. They know how to like do all these different things that you will fall into, and they can kind of snatch them up. But in gi, no gi, it's a little bit harder for traps. Traps are a little bit more, it's a little simpler, right? Yeah. Those were kind of some of the major actions. What did I miss?
No, I think you hit it spot on with things of like not relying on gi grips, not relying on gi submissions and gi transitions, even guard passing. You use the gi a lot too. It's like having to use more of the hips, pinning the knees, all this kind of stuff too. Like I think that's kind of your best transition into it. But almost to say challenge yourself when you're rolling gi next time to say what submission and tactics can I do right now that don't rely on the gi. And again, we're only suggesting this for people who are looking to build some sort of no-gi game, whether it's for your own hobby or you want to compete more in no-gi. That's a big thing. And then I think the last point I'll bring home is that you should train more leg locks, more leg entanglements.
Yes.
It's just a requirement as far as getting better at no-gi. It's a lot more slipperiness. You have a north-south game now. You can go back and forth, up and down with it. And I'm even not sure the rule sets of gi leg locks versus no-gi leg locks. Leg locks become easier in gi because there's less friction, or there's more friction. You can't twist and turn and pull out anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And you can pull and grab a lot easier into entries.
Oh, think about that too, because getting your foot out is like kind of step one sometimes on certain leg positions. So that is just tricky. That's versus if you can grab a pant leg, like you are just like, and you're in 411, I feel like that is,
pull people in.
Just rip them to you. That is, whew.
So I think, especially if you're playing the gi, I would say the opposite. Rely on the gi way more than you do.
Yeah.
Like, go all in on the gi.
Oh, if you're going the other way.
If you were fighting someone and you had a sword and you were punching them and kicking them, it's like, dude, you have a sword.
Yeah.
Like,
why aren't you
using the sword more often? So
cool. I like it. So hopefully, we're about 35 minutes in. Hopefully you guys like those ideas. Hopefully they were helpful for you.
You know what's funny?
Write in the comments if you have any other things that have helped you transition from gi to no gi.
They said samurais learn jiu-jitsu in case they drop their swords.
That was the old thing? I wonder if that's actually
interesting.
Real or BS.
You learn no gi because you dropped your gi sword.
Oh, yeah. You're not in the winter.
Right? Maybe. Cool.
We should roll with pants on.
I wanted to challenge that. I told you. I want to do. I mean, you did your Brawny Man stuff, but like,
I wanted to. I got Ezekiel.
I want
to
do a competitive jiu-jitsu match where people wearing regular clothes, like a flannel or a random jacket, and go. What would it look like? Because people say that all the time.
I would take my jacket off immediately.
Why is that? Oh, because
I don't want it used on me.
I mean, let's say you'd have to. Maybe
might even take my shirt off. If I get really yoked, maybe that would be a good idea.
But saying, what if there's a rule set where you have to you can't be purposely stripping it, but then people could, you couldn't look like you were actually trying to slip out of it.
We should actually just do jeans and a t-shirt sometime and allow pant grabbing. So that'd be a good place to start.
Yeah.
See what that's like.
I think pants are a lot more durable. It's the arguments of people saying, but pants too. I mean, that can be tough. Like you have to spend time to hit the leg and try to grab material.
If you're wearing skinny jeans, maybe.
Yeah, well, then I just wear skinny jeans.
If you're wearing sweatpants, though, they're really stretchy, and they might not give you much.
Well, and the stretchy pants, then it's suddenly you're slipping, and you end up pulling the person's pants down. Like, there's no traction. Like a jiu-jitsu gi belt, you have to tie it on. You have to, hold it in place, and that still slips. But then even like a jacket or a coat, it's still the same stuff. Like, you expect it to stay in place and to hold and
we should just do our John Wick thing that we talked. It was actually your idea. I shouldn't take any credit for that.
To do
the suit idea.
Yeah, suit idea. Maybe we should do that sometime. We should do that soon before it gets warm out.
That'd be a good video one if we were going to do a video. Okay.
We were talking John Wick last night here too. We were playing some John Wick music, so maybe we should make that a thing.
All right. Hey, everyone. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
If you enjoy this episode, please share it with a friend. That always helps our podcast. If you like it, please give us 5 stars. If you don't want to give us 5 stars, give us 5 just so we know you're on the you're on the radar, and then just send us a nice message on why we didn't deserve 5. Anyways, Levi, where can people find us?
The Grappling Podcast.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
No